guys, welcome back to another episode of Nanny News. It's your host, Ashley Cunningham, aka Nanny Announcements. And on this episode, we're going to be talking about the difference between a nanny versus a babysitter. I got called a babysitter the other day, and it kind of made me upset. And the person I was talking to didn't know the difference between a nanny versus a babysitter. So we made an episode just in case you didn't know. Sit back, relax, and get ready for another juicy episode. This week's sponsorship is sponsored by two different businesses, all owned by one extraordinary Black business owner. The first business is Tots and Giggles LLC. Tots and Giggles provides nannies, sitters, tutors, and event childcare within the United States. Their company is centered around 3 P's, being polite, professional, and prompt. Their goal is to provide childcare for all families, both in the Chicago and surrounding areas. So if you're a nanny in the Chicago or surrounding areas and in looking for a family, go hit up Tots and Giggles. And the other way around, if you're a family looking for a nanny, go hit up Tots and Giggles LLC. Also, they own a boutique named Bootski's Boots. Bootski's Boots is a children's boutique that specializes in custom attire, African print, and everyday items useful for babies and toddlers. These products are all handmade cultural items. The products can be are sold for both boys and girls. They currently have a sale going on for 20% off all baby turbans. And these turbans are so cute. The sale will end on March 31st. So go head over to bootskisboots.com to grab yours now. So, who is behind both of these businesses, you may ask? Well, the business owner behind both of these is an extraordinary Black business owner named Linda Wilson. Linda has been in the childcare industry for over 15 years. She majors in child psychology. She is a daycare recruiter, a home childcare consultant, and a childcare specialist. So she's got it all underneath her belt. We will drop all of Linda's accounts, her Instagram account, her Facebook account, and TikTok account, all underneath here in the description box below. You will also, in the meantime, if you're in the Chicago area, please hit up Tots and Giggles. And don't forget that all baby turbans are 20% off until March 31st. Are y'all ready to get to the juicy episode of Nanny News today? All right, sit back and relax. What is the difference between a nanny and a babysitter, you may ask? Because I don't know about y'all, being a career nanny, I hate being called a babysitter. Like, I don't know why. Like, I just think it's something, like, it's like a pride thing. Like, how dare you call me the babysitter when I know, in fact, that I am the nanny? But let me tell y'all, there's a difference between being a nanny and being a babysitter. And some of you may not know that. And some of you may be called a nanny, and then some of you get called a babysitter when you're doing nanny work. And it's like, no, boo-boo, you a nanny, and no, boo-boo, you the babysitter. And so I think even society has made a world like we're just babysitters. We're professional babysitters as a nanny. And I'm like, no, there's more to that. Okay, like I'm more than just a professional babysitter. So first we're going to talk about what is a nanny. Like, what is a nanny? Okay. Well, a nanny is being employed. That's the key word right there. Being employed by a family full-time or part-time on an ongoing basis where they provide childcare for the parent to the child on an ongoing basis and is employed by the parents. There's all different types of nannies. We got live-in nannies, we got live-out nannies, we got male nannies, we got NCSs, child care specialists. I don't know. I did a whole episode that a couple weeks ago. So go watch that episode about all the different types of nannies there are. But being a nanny is being a full employed by being full-time or part-time by a family and on an ongoing basis. So you're working with that family every single day. Monday through Friday is mostly what most of us nannies do. Some of us do part-time when we work for 2 different families, yada yada boom. So that's a nanny. A nanny is works ongoing basis with one family. Now, what is a babysitter? A babysitter is as needed basis. You are on call basis, basically. So whenever the family needs a date night or needs a couple hours watched, that is what you are. That's what a babysitter would be considered. Not going to your job every single day, Monday through Friday, and watching that same kid. You are a nanny if you're doing that. And you are a babysitter if you're only going to that family for 3 hours at a time or 4 hours at a time. Like, I have a babysitting job this weekend that I'm going to be doing for 3 hours at a time, and I'm not going to be seeing that family again. You get what I'm saying? So there's differences between it. Now we know the difference between what a nanny is and what a babysitter is. Now there's pros and cons, like everything else in this world, for having both in your household. So some cons for having a nanny in your household would be the consistency. We are a consistent childcare provider. Like, we're there every single day, nobody else. And most of the time we're under a contract where we're with that family for at least a year, so we can't go anywhere unless certain circumstances make us have to, or whatever. We also customize care for the children, so we specialize like one-on-one, like whatever that child wants, we customize like our whole curriculum, our whole day around that child. Unlike and there's opportunities for care that aligns with the parenting visions and styles. So as being a nanny, we basically adapt to what the parenting styles are, and what their vision are. Like, that's what our job is to come in and basically we replace them while they go do what they need to do. Then they come back and replace us. Now, some pros to having a babysitter is that it's flexibility and trying, it's flexible. You don't, it's like flexibility. You don't have to stay committed onto one, nanny or feel like obligated. Some families feel like obligated to like pay you like consistently if you're a nanny. Like, that'd be a full-time job. And some families, they can't afford having a full-time nanny or having a nanny in their house. They can only afford to having a babysitter, which is part like when ongoing basis, not everyday basis. Being a babysitter is much more less than being a nanny, because obviously a babysitter most of the time is like part-time jobs or side gig jobs, and being a nanny, that's your full-time gig, so it's gonna cost you to have a nanny. And having a babysitter, it'd be a lot more cheaper option. So say if you only need help maybe one day out of every 2 weeks or every week, then you would want to hire a babysitter than getting involved and going under with a nanny. And also, babysitters are better off with short-term notice. So say you needed help by tomorrow, most of the time the babysitter is more flexible in that route than your nanny will be. Now, there's cons, like everything else I said in this world has a con. Now, there are cons to being a nanny, which is hard to believe, especially if you are very passionate about your job, like most of us are in this industry. But there are some cons to it. Replacing nannies can be disruptive to the children's routines and sense of stability. Okay, that's the truth, because obviously, as you know, being a nanny, you're with the child most of the time you're with the child more than you're with the parents. So if you remove us all of a sudden from that, of course it's going to mess up the child's routines and mess up the sense of stability, which makes us nannies feel like we can never take a day off of work, because if we know we take a day off of work, it's going to affect everybody in our household. So, or just say we need to we need to leave, or like say this job isn't our fit anymore. It's hard for us just to, all right, I'm corporate. You can be like, all right, I ain't coming back. Like, it's what it is. Bye. But for a nanny, you can't. There's no way you could do that. And it's a financial commitment that does not fit every single budget. Yes, we as nannies, some of us are very luxury. I want to say it is a luxury service. There are ways that you can afford having a nanny in different ways in your budget, but it is a very expense for families when providing for nannies, because like I said, being a nanny, that's your career, that is your full-time employment, so that family has to be able to provide another person's salary on top of all the other things that they have in their life which most families can't do that and don't realize that until they're already in the situation, it was just too late. Now, some cons to having a babysitter. There's a few of those, but one of the main ones is it's not experienced as nannies since it's not their full-time job. Yeah, that's where you're gonna get your little high schoolers and your little babies that just starting out in the industry, don't have much experience about childcare. They're not going to be very professional, on hands-on deck like nannies are. They're just going to come in, do their little job, and come on right on back out. And also, they may not have a broad understanding of child development. Most of nannies take classes, have degrees, further the education by going to conferences. There's conferences yearly going on. There's professional development days that happen pretty much once a month in our industry. And so being a nanny, we have to further our education and you take those classes. Being a babysitter, you ain't doing it. Like you just not gonna do that. You just gonna, like I said, get what you make, your little extra income, because most of the time being a babysitter, you're making extra income, and so it's not a full-time job. Like I say, being a nanny is it's a luxury thing in having a baby. Like, a babysitter is maybe your route depending on your family's dynamic. It's all depending on it. Like I said, it's all up to you and like what your family needs. So when do you hire, and how do you know what to hire when you're looking for childcare? So we all know the pros and cons. We know that nannies are a little bit more consistent than a babysitter. Babysitters have a little bit more cost less than a nanny. So when would you might prefer to have a nanny? So if you're looking for an ongoing, consistent, in a custom care and on a regular basis, Monday through Friday for your child, then the nanny is going to be your route. And learning how to budget for a nanny, that is something, it's a whole nother subject. But remembering that nannies, that is their career, that is their full-time employment. So if you're wanting to have a full-time nanny, make sure you know that you're able to afford a full-time nanny, because we come with a lot. We don't just come to come in and be like, oh yeah, we take care of your kids. No, we need to make sure we're taken care of, like health insurance. We need to make sure that we're taken care of by having, gas when we're taking your kids to here and there, making sure we have spending money. So when we take your kids to different areas, we have that. So, and making sure that we are, you're paying us full-time pay, we can still afford our lives outside of being in your life. So nanny is a very luxury service. Now, when you might prefer having a babysitter would be when you need to run your errands, when you have a date night, when you have maybe a work commitment that only requires for a couple of hours and it doesn't require an everyday basis work commitment, then you would want to hire a babysitter. How to hire a babysitter is all depending on your area that you live in, based off referrals, searching from parents' forums online. There's babysitting services out there. There's all different, carers.com is the big one for babysitters. So just depending on what you're needing and at that time is going to depend on if you need a nanny or a babysitter. Now, please know that there's differences, like we just said. So don't forget that there's differences between being a nanny and being a babysitter. And being a career nanny and going into interviews, I've had experiences where they wanted just to hire me as the wanted to pay me as the babysitter when I'm considered as the nanny. Like, it's the different world, different contracts for each one. Yeah, so if you're a babysitter, you should have like a certain contract that you should have your parents sign before you walk into that too. That's a different subject too, so we're going to talk about that here in a couple weeks. But I wanted to give you guys a perspective of what the difference between a nanny and a babysitter is called, because I hate being called a babysitter. If you're anything like me, I hate that word babysitter when I am a career nanny. So that's the end of this week's episode. Now you know the difference between having a nanny or being a nanny and having a babysitter and being the babysitter. We cannot confuse those anymore, okay? Because they are two different jobs. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And tell all your friends that there's juicy news that's coming every Friday on Nanny News. And don't forget that we are also offering sponsorships for your business. If you want to have your business shout out, just like you all saw a few minutes ago, please go to the link in our bio. I will put the link in the description box, and you can book your sponsorships through that way. The ships are running for $25. You get a 3 to 5 minute segment. You get a reel or a post on our nanny page. You get shouted out, and you get other different eyes looking at your business, which, as being a business owner, that's all we want, is to get our business out and promoted. So let us do that here for you. We will see you guys all next Friday for another juicy episode. We hope you all have a great week. Bye.